How are you?
I'm good, Sammy. How are you? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. You got any weekend plans?
Nothing crazy. How about yourself?
Same, nothing really right now.
Yeah, tis still kind of adjusting and reopening and all that other good stuff, right?
Yeah, where are you located at?
DC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, how about you?
Pennsylvania. I'm in State College right now.
Oh, gotcha. Very nice. Very nice.
Yep. All right, let's get started.
Great.
So, Rick, tell me a little bit about what you do with SADD.
Yeah, I have the pleasure of being the president and CEO of SADD, Students Against Destructive Decisions. We're the nation's premier youth health and safety organization with a national network of about 7,500 chapters in middle schools, high schools, and colleges all across the country. Our chapters work on the issues of mobility safety, substance use, mental health, and leadership development, working with all of those age groups I just described to help them make good choices and be an advocate for change in the topics that SADD addresses.
And when it said make these changes, it used to be students against drunk driving when I was younger. Now that you know how old I am, but what made the change?
Yeah, we changed our name back in 1997, actually, at the request of our students themselves. We knew that impaired driving was still a critical issue, something that still required a public response, but there were so many other issues that young people were facing: bullying, tobacco education, substances, and other topics, thinking even things about in the traffic safety realm, things like distracted driving, seatbelt usage, things that SAD had not originally talked about. And so because our students wanted to address those topics, our board made the strategic decision to keep the name, but expand the mission to be destructive decisions. And now we continue to evolve, addressing new issues like vaping and cyberbullying and other topics that present unique challenges to young people, and evaluating those again at the request of our students as they arise.
And what would you say was the biggest challenge about being president of the organization, especially with everything going on in this day and age?
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see how SAD has pivoted during the times of COVID. We've been really fortunate that we've been able to transition most of our programming to be online and in an online format, but still finding ways to remain relevant in a world that's always changing. How do we stay relevant now using TikTok? Because that's where teens are today. How do we make sure our messaging is authentic and really speaks to youth? We're constantly in a revolving door of constituents because high school students, middle school students, they grow up and they leave us. So how do we remain relevant while addressing this huge tent and wide, diverse set of issues in a way that really speaks to young people? That's always a chronic challenge. And finding funds that we need to do it, even more of a challenge.
And what have you been doing? I know you said, you mentioned TikTok during COVID, but what have you been doing during COVID to keep your message
Yeah. So
going?
several things, because many of our chapters were not able to meet in their school setting because schools were closed. We created a series of virtual chapters. Many of our chapters were meeting over Zoom or over other channels just like this, having conversations and conducting programming that they would traditionally do in some online version. Some schools did not allow student groups to meet because they were focused just on the essentials of trying to keep the school running. And so in those situations, we created statewide or regional chapters where students who were still interested in the program and interested in participating could still be a part of what we're doing without necessarily having to be associated with the school. We created new things like our SAD chats, which were virtual events that students could log into and participate and talk about different issues they were facing. Things like our SAD Speaks program, Students for Policy, Education, Advocacy, and Knowledge, where we focused on issues like social justice and other issues that were facing young people that we had never thought about discussing before. Even though we'd been a hub for inclusivity and making sure that every student of every background was involved and felt welcomed in SAD, obviously the death of George Floyd and other current events sparked a new interest by this generation in revisiting some subjects that certainly have a linkage to mental health, to overall well-being and health. So we made those connections and created a space for students to gather, while also hosting things like our virtual prom and monthly events that students could come and just hang out and be kids. So again, trying to be relevant in a world that was constantly changing.
And how do you do that, especially with the death of George Floyd, like you
Mhm.
said, and now that we're in Pride Month? What kind of events and stuff are you doing?
Yeah, so we're proud to work with a long list of partners who really bring a specialty and a focus to a lot of these topics. So we work a lot with the Trevor Project, the JED Foundation, and other organizations that have a true expertise in reaching a diverse group of students. We first start by looking at who we are and what we offer, and making sure that how we talk, the language that we use, the way we connect business, how we present ourselves in person and in virtual formats really is welcoming and speaks to the ideas of who we are and who we want to be. We then make sure that our chapters are recruiting from that diverse pool, so that it's not just something that we say. It's not just that, for example, we changed our logo for Pride Month, but it's something that we live every day, and that we make sure that every student really does feel a place in the organization, particularly because the data shows us that students who are unfortunately marginalized in some of these groups are oftentimes at the most or greatest risk of making poor choices. We know that mental health in the LGBTQT plus community is at its lowest and that it's been in decades, and students there are wrestling with the issues of acceptance and belonging, anxiety, depression, self-harm. So making sure that those students not only feel included, but that we're addressing it from a data-driven perspective, absolutely key.
And where do you see the program evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
It's a great question. And, I wish I had my crystal ball where I could say, I know exactly where we're going to be and what we're going to do. But I will tell you strategically, two things we're looking at: really expanding what I call our bookends. So traditionally, SADD was focused in a high school environment. We've had more and more interest from middle school and now even elementary students, that we know that early intervention is absolutely key. So creating a space to have those conversations even earlier is a key strategy of what we're doing. But then also working in the college space and in the young adult space, so that students who are in their late teens and early 20s still feel a place that they belong is within SADD, that we're addressing issues on college campuses like violence, that we're addressing things like underage drinking and impaired driving that's happening still on college campuses, and creating a space for all young people to know that they matter and that they truly belong.
And are you guys connected still with the Mothers Against Drunk Driving or Destructive Decisions?
So MAD is a separate organization. They always have been. Mothers Against Drunk Driving was founded around the same time as SADD, but in a different part of the country as a different legal entity. And we are still good friends with them. We partner in some ways. They obviously have a more singular issue focus on more of the transportation side, where we look at the overall wellness and inclusion. We're obviously focused on youth. They're focused on a broader demographic and victim services. So we call them a great partner and friend, but two separate organizations.
And what other organizations are you partnering with?
Oh wow, how much time do we have? We have a list of over 100 organizations that we partner with. Everything from like Equitable Financial, where we were talking about financial literacy, because we know that that is one of the leading stressors for young people. How do I pay for college? How do I budget? What does a credit score mean? Understanding the connection between financial decision making and mental health is key. To our long list of federal agencies, from the National Institute on Drug Abuse to NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Our nonprofit partners like the National Safety Council, the National Road Safety Foundation. The list goes on and on. You can find a full list of those on our website, along with all the links and resources that we've created together that are specific to SADD, and also the great resources that exist beyond SADD. We've been most proud most recently to work with MTV on their Global Mental Health Day of Action, working with them on May 20 to make that a day, not just to where we talk about mental health, not just a day of words, but a day of action to raise awareness. There's been a lot of publicity around that, and we were proud to support those efforts. So anything from government to entertainment and everything in between, we work with anyone who cares and shares our commitment to young people.
Well, right now, I would like to offer my organization, TV Grapevine, as one of your supporters as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. We love it. I'm excited to be here today.
Yes, I'm excited to have you. And anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, just, I would encourage folks to visit our website, www.sad.org. We have a full litany of resources for teens, for parents, for caring adults, grandparents, friends, mentors, spiritual leaders, adult allies, whoever it might be. We've got resources there to help navigate that journey of adolescence, because we know it's not only tricky for teens, but also parents and the other adults that care about them. Also, to follow us on social media at SADD Nation on your favorite social media channel. You'll find us there with resources, contests, links, all sorts of great stuff. We know that by working together, that's how we keep young people safe.
All right, we'll send you a follow. Thank you so much and have a good weekend.
Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.